and we know this is what we're meant to do. So we wake up, put our feet on the floor, go and conquer the day like a warrior, like warriors. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right. No need to panic anymore. We got lots of support and an army of warriors by our side. We fight the good fight when we unite. We fight the good fight when we unite. Cause that's what a tribe does. We got your back so you can relax and focus on all the important stuff, like getting your business done. This is our tribe. We look out for each other. That's right, that's right. This is our tribe. We help each other grow in business and life. That's right, that's right.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for wherever you are in the world. My name is Sondra Ray, and I am the host of the Coffee Shop Show, sponsored by Explore ProTech. And I'm here with an amazing gentleman from Explore ProTech community. We help business owners with everything, like how to run your business, how to do that. And we come from the perspective of how things have went from us and stories that we have in our community. So they are our opinions and our stories, not necessarily Explore ProTech company, I guess, for lack of a better word. So we started, or we've been talking about, we kind of got past like the systems and all the other things, and now we're doing leadership and setting up your team and how to set up a team and how to run a team and all those things. So today we're going to talk about that more, and we're going to talk about we talked about last week about how, having your processes, knowing what you need, but then you got to go out there and look for those people. And that can be daunting, very daunting. Do you hire, local? Do you hire international? Do you hire your time zone? And pay ranges are huge. I know in the US, a lot of people, it's a mindset thing. A lot of people are like, don't hire overseas, and then some people are hire overseas. So all that to say is it's your business. You have to hire the people that are going to help you run your business. And I don't think there should be any this way or that way. It really is what works for your business. So first off, you need to know who do you need on your team. So we talked a little bit about that last week about having processes, and nobody's going to do it exactly like you because they are not you. And yes, the business is your baby. I get that. I'm a grandma and a mom, so I get the whole business is your baby. So no, nobody's going to do it like you. So that's why you get the processes, and that's why you look for somebody that either has the skill set or has done the job. And I say has a skill set because you can have a skill set or learn the skill set and still be a viable team member and not necessarily have done that job. I know if people didn't take chances on me in my business, I probably wouldn't be in business now, because people had to take a chance on me and be like, hey, she's new. I did an internship first. That's how I helped a friend, and then I did an internship, and then I did a course, and then I fully became my own business owner. So you can hire new people is what I'm trying to say. Hiring new people takes a specific skill set as a leader, because you have to be able to monitor, check in them, willing to give them that chance, willing to do the double check, do check-ins, do lessons, do encouragement, but also to know when it is not working. So again, that goes back to that leadership skills from last week. So go, like we said, always go back and listen to things, because that kind of helps gear you for this one. So Once you know what type of roles you want, then you have to go looking for the roles. And again, there's agencies that help with that. There's people that help with that. Facebook groups, job boards. There's all these different things. I always say start in your circle. Find out in your circle who can do those things. Because a lot of times people don't realize that right there in their circle is their ideal team member. It doesn't have to be this big, long, extended search forever and ever and ever. If you're in a community like the Amazing Explorer ProTech, ask around, ask Peter. He knows the who's, where's, and what's and wins. Um, like I said, your local um, friend group or your local network, or I'm blessed to be around a lot of colleges, so internships are very, very um, big. So I always tell people like check with your colleges. Or is there people that are, or even high school. High schools need volunteer hours, internships, job shadowing. So there's always that route, and usually it's going to save you a little bit of money, um, for sure. So Peter, come on in.
Yeah, I love this topic, and I think that every single one of us is going to go about this in a different way. We're all completely different. We're in different spaces. We have different expertise. We have different outcomes that are required. We all require different outcomes. Therefore, our method is going to be very different. My approach was um, I didn't need a very specific team for a very specific job. I needed a vast amount of people with very specific skills in very specific spaces so that I could actually customize and build teams for multiple and different jobs. Both Megan and Marlon will know this, as they've been on one of my teams before in a very unique space in a university. And as the outcomes or as the outcomes change for different spaces, then the teams evolve and they change. And the only way to actually get to the point of having the perfect team is to know your people very, very, very well. You know what their strengths are, know what their passions are, know what their skill sets are, know where their business is heading, know what they're looking for, know what you have to know. Because if they're going to slot into your team in building out something that doesn't only rely on them, but also relies on multiple other team members, then it's not only the balance of knowing who that person is, but how does that person function with everybody else in the team? So you're not only looking at their skill sets, you're looking at their dynamic, how they function with others, how do others function with them, who pushes who, who's creating excitement, who's creating. You got to look at absolutely everything, and I will admit, I think our last Ignite program was probably by far the most ultimate team in regards to taking students on that journey. And Marlon and Megan, you were both there. It was phenomenal. It was even quite emotional when we got to the end because I think it just got to the point where the university was, how? How did you do that? And I was like, well, I didn't, but they did. It was a thing of beauty. So. But I think that's what my requirements are. Um, Whereas maybe Marlon is in a different space, and his requirements for finding something might be completely different. It might be more goal orientated, or it might be more. It depends on the environment. So I'm actually glad I've got both of you here because I think it's going to be different perspectives on the same thing. And I think that's okay. That's great, actually, because entrepreneurs out there have different spaces and different requirements. It's not like I can go, my way works the best and you've got to do it this way because you may have a different space and you've got to figure out how that space works, how the dynamic works, and how do you bring people into it. I think that's what you've got to customize. How do you bring people into your space to function the best? And it's different every time.
Yeah, I agree, Peter. Definitely industry, environment are definitely important when you're hiring people. Um, Also, as a business owner, know your strengths and know your weaknesses. you want somebody that's going to fill the spaces of the weaknesses, but also be honest about that. Like, I'm not a bookkeeper. County is not my thing. I'll go ask Nestine. Peter is not going to do bookkeeping. Like, we know those are not our thing. So we're going to ask for those people to be in our space. And as like still a barter today is for me to have a bookkeeper because that is not my jam, which is ironic now that I work in the financial world, but I don't do bookkeeping even in that world. So yes, I work in financial world, but and not in that aspect. And that's not my strong suit. I don't do the books. I don't any of that stuff. So that's not mine to do. But I do other things on the back end and do other stuff. So I can be in that industry. I'm just not an accountant or a bookkeeper. So same thing when people say they want a virtual assistant. I'm like, that is such a very generic that might as well say you want a man or you want a woman. Seriously. I always look at that term and I'm just like, oh, please do not say that. You need somebody to do X, Y, and Z. That label has been so stretched and so diluted that same thing with coach. I want a coach. Okay, well, a coach of what? And what do you want them to do? And I want a business coach. Okay, but what do you want them to do? What industry you're in? Do they need to be a specialty in your industry? Yeah, there's just so many things. So the cliche terms, watch using those, especially when you're looking for your team, because you don't, yeah, you're going to get 1,000 applicants and you might have needed very specific roles, very specific. I always like job descriptions that have like, I need you to be this, not this, and these are the tasks you need to do. And I'll be like, oh, okay, I fit those categories. Oh, nope, I don't fit those categories. Next. And I know business owners that appreciate that. They're like, hey, don't come apply if you don't know a thing about X, Y, and Z, and it's required in this job. So make sure you're writing out your job descriptions when you're hiring your team very specifically so that you're not going through 1,000 million job applications. Miss Megan, good evening, ma'am. How are you?
Hi, Sondra. Hi, everyone. Hello to everyone listening. Good to be here. It's been a while, and I love the topic for today. And how funny is it, guys, that I'm in this space right now where my team is 2 months new. So I have started as of the 1st of August with 3 people that I'm trying to juggle and fit into my nonprofit space. And boy, oh boy, is the learning curve steep, right? It's just about figuring one another out, finding the right space, knowing what you want and how you want them to slot into your space. Really crucial because, they come with their background, they come with the experience that you feel you need in your space to close the gaps that Sondra just spoke about. But how they do that is probably so different to what you imagine it being if you don't communicate that properly, right? And so Marlon's laughing. It could go in any of 99 directions, and you've got to be there to see this happening and, curb it and make sure that it actually goes in the right direction you need it to be going. But I think it's really important, first and foremost, to know the space that you operate in really well, know what you're looking for, know who you're looking for, and give them that full picture. I mean, my new team stepped into a space where they were stepping onto a moving vehicle, literally. This is something that I've been building for 5 years in my head, mostly, and then started rolling out about 2 years ago. And as the leader in this space, the most difficult part for me was changing my mindset, opening up to the fact there are people I need to be sharing my thoughts with all of the time, because everything was built here. And so you just assume that when they step in on the first day they're there, they know what they're getting into. They don't. So you've got to be really, really specific about the detail you share. You've got to get them onto the same page as you. You've got to, at the same time, our culture in this space is very easygoing, very relaxed. I want to be able to bring you up to speed, hand you your portfolio and say, do it. There are the deadlines, do it. If you have an issue, come my way. But it's never that easy, right? So yeah, it's a matter of figuring it out most ways before you bring them onto the ship, and then help them settle in. Give them the guidance that they need, give them the input, the information they need to carry forward what you need them to carry forward, and just keep supporting them. I think it's an interesting ride for sure.
I love that, Megan. And I think that was very evident when I dated the tribe, which is what Explorer ProTech calls it. And I think it's a really good thing. Like your 30-day period or your 60-day period, you got to get to know me and I get to know you. And yes, your resume might look amazing on paper, but you can't back it up, or vice versa. You see my description, you thought I was amazing to work for, but it's behind the curtain is not the same. So um, I am always like, let's do a 30-day period or let's do that trial. Because then you're like, okay, this didn't work and it might not have to end on difficult terms. But as a business owner, it's also on you to do checks and balances. Like you said, I want to hand it to them and send them off. Well, yeah, that's great, but it's still your job to make sure they're doing their job. And as somebody that's been an executive assistant multiple times now, it's amazing how often I have to chase people down to make sure they're doing their job. And it's one of my least favorite things to do. I'll do it, and especially if you're not doing your job. And honestly, I'm not one to get pissed off easily, but that is one thing that'll drive me crazy in a heartbeat. I'll be like, why are you doing this? I've always said this 4 times. Written documentation. I love videos. People love learning from videos. Knowing the learning style of your staff is important. If they're not a reader, like Peter doesn't want to read a book.
Yeah.
That's just not Peter's style. Megan would love a book. Give her a book. Don't talk to her. Let her go. Peter's like, you need to just verbally tell me what the heck you want and let's go. So everybody has a different, I'm a doer. I'd rather do. Yes, I'll read and I'll listen to you once, but then I'm like, just go away so I can get it done, literally. I got it. Let's go. Give me a video so I can go back to it if I need to, or the written stuff. My husband's a teacher or works IT but loves to teach. And everybody's just like, but we don't need to know the why this thing talks to this thing. Just how do we make it talk to this thing, and let's move on. So definitely. Peter, come on in.
I've already been. I can hold my thoughts. Do we want to give Marlon an opportunity?
Oh, yep. Go ahead, Marlon. Sorry.
Thanks, guys. No, I think it's an interesting topic. I think everybody, depending on the stage you're in, I guess if you're like a one man band and you need to diversify, you need to get more people, you need more hands in. Like you guys have said, you need to know what you're going to be handing over. I think that's one of the main things. And sometimes, I mean, I've been running this business well over 8 years, and we have documentation, we have processes. Like to the point where whether people are internal or whether people are external, and I'm outsourcing, we've managed to release the same thing. But it's interesting when you have somebody that comes in and they have the documents, they have the video, they have it all, and still, it can still turn out to be because it could turn out wrong. And that's just because you need to choose. You also need to look at the personality of the person, right? I think sometimes what changed my perspective, and the way I'm hiring at the moment is more about attitude and less about skill. If you Because you can teach anything to anybody that wants to learn, but you can have all the skill in the world with a bad attitude and you can't help, and they're just poisonous to the culture. And I found that is one of the biggest things. So that when you're looking for someone, rather be more clear on the type of individual, and you can keep the tasks in there, of course, if they can do it and they have the attitude. I mean, that's A plus. But I mean, those people tend to be of a higher cost and also difficult to find. Just because, and it might also just depend, in their life status at that moment in time. If they go through something hectic or something depressive, they're not showing up as their best selves, and you just need to kind of see through that. And then the other part is now integrating them, and working with them. You need that patience. You need to be, like you guys have said, you need to be sort of following up, all the time. So, and checking in all the time. And people sort of need those touch points, and you get different people at different points. Yeah, I mean, my team is I've got a young team. So, and like I said, it was more about attitude. So they're super eager and like eager bunnies and want to learn everything and consume everything. But at the same time, it's like, whoa, you need to slow down. This is what you're going to focus on. This is what you're going to focus on. But then the problem when that comes in is that they finish it and then they're standing waiting. And then it's like, but just think for yourself now. And then that's like something that you'd have to work on. So depending on where you are in the stage of your business, if you're gonna, because I've even seen it with more mature businesses that go out to hiring. So we did an interesting test. Um, we ran out with ads, and we were in Facebook ads versus your HR, right? And the HR actually they won the gig because of trust between the CEO and the HR company. But the interesting thing is the Facebook people actually ended up way better. And these are cold people, just basically. And what we did in the conversation on Facebook was really just say, look, we're looking for 18 players, people that are like this, that like to work and live like this, that are looking for a business that can help them in this way, as opposed to your conventional, I mean, Megan knows very well that space. It's all about what's in the CV. It's not really what's about inside, and that makes a big difference. I think especially if we're entrepreneurs, smaller businesses trying to grow, you have to think outside the box. Doing the normal conventional thing is not really going to cut it. The gold actually sits right there in and around you. You'd be so surprised. I've been amazed, like some of the people that I managed to find. Oh, you would not be able. These people can't get the jobs, but they are gold. So yeah, you just got to be willing to twist and turn a lot. Be going for what you want, and I think especially for South African, a good way to go is maybe on a contract basis. So you contract them piece by piece, and that way you're not hiring them per se. And because people can just sort of fake it for 3 months, be stuck in the organization, then you're stuck with them. But then you can at least contract them for a period of time, and then when you're really happy, you hire them. So those are just some things that can help you get around the whole labor issue as well. Those are all my thoughts.
I love that. I love that, Marlon. It's so funny because Mr. L is watching this from YouTube, and he said the same thing. Hire on attitude, not skill set. That was one of his tips, like hire on attitude and skill set. Can you be a team player? Or is this his team? Maybe it's a you two are it, and can you be the team as in it's just us? Be upfront when you're hiring that. Or hey, I need you to be an professional at all times. You can't show up in your t-shirt and your baseball cap, like you have to show up a certain way. Or I'm cool with kids, but you need this, or you don't need to worry about it. Like kids can be running around like crazy in the background, and as long as you get your stuff done, we don't care if the kids are there. At somebody that hired onto the team, and she has a baby, and I love that for her. But when all you ever hear is a baby crying or the sound machine, or like that's all you hear every time she opens her mic, and I'm just like, okay, this is not working. Like I am not. I love kids, of course, but I'm like, it said, and because I have seen the job description, that you have to show up and you are a receptionist role, and you have to be able to greet people in a professional manner, and having a crying child on your lap all the time, like not just occasionally, but all the time, it's just not going to work. So I'm interested to see how that works out. And there are definitely personality quizzes you can give people and different things like that. I love the DISC assessment. I've used that in different communities many, many times. I have also, but like Marlon said, you can be in a season. Like I have been in seasons where, yeah, I don't want to be the front. I don't want to be in front of people. I just want to do things in the back. And then some seasons I've been like, let me be in control and like, let's get this done. So that's also important to know. And then what was the other thing I was gonna say? Yeah, culture. Culture is important. I love hiring all cultures. Um, but some people, depending on where you put them in that role, especially if they're front facing, you have to keep that in mind. If you can't understand them, no matter what language or what culture it is, it's not going to work. And I've seen it happen. Um, and then you're frustrated, they're frustrated, your client, customers are frustrated because they're like, we can't understand what they're saying. Like, this doesn't work. So keep that in mind what they're going to do. And then if you're not great at leading people or you're not great at that organizational part, then hire a CFO or an OBM or an executive assistant. That's the first role you need to hire. It's like, hello, I need somebody that's going to help me run this because that is not my deal. I want to be the face of the company. I want to go smooge and snooze and talk to all the people, but I do not want to send contracts out, hire a team, all that stuff. Hey, be like, hey, I need somebody to be where I am, and you might be the only person for a little bit, but like, help me get this under control. Those are my ideal clients. I love those clients. Um, or this is my fourth business. It's just a hobby. Here's somebody to run it, CFO or whatever. So knowing what you need in your business is so, so, so important. And like Marlon said, it might change. You might be like, oh, I thought I need this, but that's not exactly what I needed. And be honest with the employee, contractor, whatever, and say, hey, I'm sorry, I just didn't know or whatever. I think honesty helps very much. And you can be like, hey, you're great at this. I'll recommend you for this, but it's not what I need at this time. And part ways amicable, and they're not trashing you, you're not trashing them. So definitely be professional about it. Peter, I'll ramble. Come on.
Look, as the ultimate entrepreneur, I would love to say that I never make mistakes, but I do. Unfortunately, I've made a few, and I think that's why I'm so good at what I do. I've made lots of mistakes. Oh, plenty. I think you guys will have witnessed some of them in all their glory. Oh, shouldn't have done that. Oops. Okay. Rewrite. Let's backtrack. Let's start again. And I think all of you will remember the time that I decided I was going to try and build a sales team. Do you guys remember that? How often did you guys see me blood, sweat, and tears? All the time. Not my forte, not my space, not my, I should have gone to the people in the sales space and gone, well, what would you do? How would you do it? And I just went, I'm so good at this. I know everyone. I can just build a team. No, no, it was miserable. I was miserable. They were miserable. Nothing got sold, and it fell apart. Actually, sorry, I picked it apart and took it apart and dissolved it like a bad habit. It's just gotta go. I'm not willing to put myself through that amount of stress to push that hard to build something when there are actually people out there that specialize in building that. So why am I even trying to do this? So I think if you're trying to build something in your own space, learn very quickly that if you're not the person to build it, you're not the person to build it. And that's where it pays to know people around you, know people within your community, be connected to people around you, be connected to people in different spaces. If you take a look at your business and you understand there is a sales aspect to your business, there is a marketing aspect, there is a get to know people in those industries, get to know people in those spaces, get to know people that specialize in actually doing that. You can do that through networking, sometimes meeting somebody cold or advertising to find somebody to fill something is like an art all unto its own. So I think that sometimes I shouldn't even advertise to find people, which I haven't done yet because I haven't needed to. But that would be its own kettle of fish. It would be, I think I've just been lucky enough to have certain people around me. Did I find a way to circumnavigate building a sales team? Yes, I did. And it turned out to don't build one at all. Do not build one at all. Find a different avenue. I'm happy now. A whole lot happier. Whereas if, say, And I know the people around me really well. If Marlon was doing the same thing, he would have done it different. He would have ended up with the right people because he knows the space. And he would have ended up with a functioning sales team. And I would have been very jealous. I would have turned into the green monster. It's just not my thing to do. Sometimes you just got to let go of certain things. If trying to build your space and it consists of teams, and there are certain things that you need to let go of, let go. But prepare yourself to let go. Have the right documents in place, have the right processes in place, I want to give this to somebody else. I want them to do it the way I want it done. I might not be the person to decide how it's done. So let's find the person that decides that. Let's find the person that builds out the process. Let's find the person that's going to follow that process. If you're not the person to find them, get the right person to do it. If you're not the right person to build the process, get the right person to do it. And that's where it pays to know the people around you. If I build another team now to step into a different university for a completely different learning journey with completely different learning outcomes, I change the team. And then we step into a different space and it'll change again. Have I ever had the perfect team? Yes. Yes, I think I have had the perfect team. And I will pat them on the back for that. Because they came to the party and the people that benefited the most were the students and the university, and the team was loved and adored, and relationships were built out of that space where students are still reaching out to coaches and still building those relationships. And to me, I look to now replicate that. But we have to replicate it in a different space, which means customize the team. Surround yourself with people. That's my best advice.
So true. And when I talk to people about quarterly review, communities is one of the areas I tell people to review. What communities are you in? Why you're in them? What are you getting out of them? And what are you giving them? Like, what are you giving? What give and take are you doing? And if it isn't lining up with your goals for your next quarter, then yeah, walk away, because community can make such a difference. And I've had it make a difference many, many times. Probably would have quit year one if I didn't have a community. It wasn't this community, but it was a different one. And if it wasn't from them, I probably would have quit. Like, seriously, would have been like, yep, let me go back. Like, let me go back to my job, and like, this is not for me. But it was people that encouraged me and was like, okay, hey, no, you can do this. How can we help you? What can we do to support you? So, so important. And especially if you come, if you don't have the background of entrepreneurship, or your household doesn't have that background of entrepreneurship, which was my case, nobody understood in my exact circle, as in the household, understood entrepreneurship. So they didn't get the ups and downs. So having people that have and are in entrepreneurship is so helpful, for sure. Miss Megan.
Thank you, Sondra. So to add to that, Sondra, the community aspect and the networking aspect, the one thing that I realized somewhere along the way, and you guys know how fervently I enjoy my networking space and stuff. The one thing that I constantly need to check with myself, and maybe this is something to look at, is how are you optimizing that space, right? So yes, you're adding value. Yes, you are receiving value, but are you truly optimizing the space, the connections that you are making? Are you keeping them alive? Because that's really crucial to being able to put your tendrils out there and just, spread the word. I'm looking for such a person. I'm looking to fill my team here, etc. So I just wanted to throw that into the conversation. And then also, the one thing that I've tried with this round of hiring in my space. So again, you guys know me, so it's passion, purpose. It's about having fun and exploring, doing things my way. That's pretty much how my businesses have been built. And I decided to take the same approach with one of the volunteers that I've taken on a contract basis in my space, and basically have a floater. and just figure out along the way where this person fits in. For now, she's happy to do a bit of admin, a bit of this, and just sitting in all the strat and planning meetings, sit in and do the trainings with the rest of the team, figure the business out, and then go, right, this is where I see myself fitting in, right? Because I've got a couple of portfolios, the yucky ones we've outsourced. So we've outsourced all the stuff that we don't really want to be touching, like the bookkeeping. Sorry, Nestine. It's just one of those things that fly first for me. Outsource the right stuff. You're sitting with the portfolios that you actually want to be hands-on with, and that you want the people in your team to be looking at and assessing for their space in your organization. So that's been an interesting little path for us at the moment, is having that floating person just sitting there and giving input everywhere, and literally just adding her ideas into the space, her thoughts, and adding to the strategy and planning. And it's 2.5 months in, but pretty soon she'll be selecting her portfolio, and we'll put her there for a while and just see how it goes. But I think the one thing we also often forget about, and this is something I try and always remind my students and my clients in the entrepreneurial space about, is don't forget to have that fun and experiment. Be open to just playing around a bit, right? Because it's your business. Build it your way, figure things out the way it suits you and your team, and move from there. And I think that's, for us, that has really been a big positive in the way that we've approached that. So just throwing a bit of that in there.
I love that, Megan. And we did talk about that last week about having a win-win. So you take in information as a leader. It's a two-way street. It's not like, I am your leader, this is the way you're going to do it. Again, nobody's going to do it exactly like you did. Maybe they would, and a lot of times they won't do it exactly like the SOP, or they will, and they'll be like, this isn't working. Like, can we try this X, Y, and Z? So being that, one, them feeling comfortable to do that, and two, you as a business owner being flexible and being like, okay, let's try it that way. And maybe it doesn't work, and maybe it works, and it's the thing you needed to scale your business, and it takes off, and you can go back and be like, thank you. So for sure, love that. And I love the floater idea. I've been the, I guess, floater many times. And it's very interesting because they have a different perspective than you, and they can see and say things in a light that'd be like, hey, Sally is not great over here, but I could see her doing this over here, because when she does little pieces, like, let's strategically move the puzzle pieces around and see how the better fit is. And people change, people grow, people learn.
Sure.
People that are willing to learn usually is the best way to have them on your team. But yeah, maybe they learn a new role, or maybe they've done a skill set or X, Y, and Z, and be like, hey, do you know this now or not know this now? Or do you have a better way to do this? It's just about team building. And you can build a virtual team. That is very much possible and very much doable. I've seen it many, many times. I've seen it done right, and I've seen it done very wrong. But it is doable. So don't think that, because you're all on Zoom, that it's not a possibility. I've known Peter for 3 years and never met him in person. Megan and Marlon.
Please, could I add to that, Sondra?
Sure, go ahead.
Sorry to break your word. I am meeting my one director, who I've known for almost 4 years. One director in my youth academy, never met her before. Meeting her in person for the first time tomorrow.
Awesome.
And we've been in business, we've been mentoring each other through 4 years of building businesses, and for the first time tomorrow we meet. So that's the point you want to get to, right?
Right, exactly. I've known both my clients for 6 years. I've been working with one for almost 3 years and another one for 1.5 years, and I just met them both in February, this past February.
Awesome.
So in person, and their family. So now we live on different parts of the United States, but yeah, again, you can build trust, you can build a team without being physically in person. Amazing if you can be, of course.
Yeah.
Marlon, come on in. We have like 3 or 4 more minutes.
Yeah, great. Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. And it's funny because my assistant, who's been with me now, it's like 3.5 years, is literally moving nearby, and we're going to meet for the very first time, like in a month or so. We're gonna have like a Christmas party or something. So it's quite interesting. I live in interesting times. I think Look, I think knowing what you're building is really important. And then like you have like these templates because within my organization, it's more like I'm form part of all the pieces. So all the departments, I can easily slip in there. And I love what you guys said about it's not necessarily being because I'm the lead, I'm in charge. Because yes, I will be the one when I'm in the CEO's hat. Yes, I'm in charge. But then there's a point where I may fit in with the sales team and then I'm on the phone. Or I'm sitting with the design team and I'm just throwing the ideas. I'm not the creative director at that moment in time. And then we know it'll flip over to where I might be slipping in with the guys that are building something or creating some form of automation. And I'm just one of the guys. And I have to just fit in with the process that was already created, right? So and that just keeps the business fluid enough for people to move in and out because it's not just that person or that individual could leave the business, they might not be available that day or that week. You know, people get sick, people things happen. So you want to be able to still be able to build it in a way that it doesn't depend on that individual, but it can still move on to somebody else and anybody, Joe can come in and train and everything just keeps going, right? It's not solely dependent on that one person. So I think you really got to have this idea of what you're building, and then obviously when you're working on your process and all that, that's all baked in. And then it comes into the management style, like you said. How do I actually do that? Because it keeps me in check and humbles me if I'm not always right. Because if I'm the boss, it's going to be like, no, guys, this is how it's going to be done. But if I come in and I realize, no, these guys have been working at this and they're creating, I mean, I'm a marketing agency, so design and creativity is really important. So you don't want to stifle them with whatever's going on for me. So I come in and I have to come in underneath, humbled, so and ready to be sparked, and have my creativity pushed in a different direction, and that's really important in my space. So regardless of understanding that and wanting to build that from the outset is important. So, and for every industry, for every business, it's very different. So getting very clear on that will help you really just work on it. And then obviously it's a moving organism, so things will change, and you got to be like very willing to adapt throughout the whole process. So yeah, totally, very interesting topic, something that is never changing and a lot of fun. Like I said, don't take it too personally, don't take it too seriously, but at the same time, keep going at it, because before you know it, you're actually building something that everybody is contributing towards, and that everybody will actually everyone will actually love to go to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. I love that, Marlon. Yes, you want people to be there. And like you said, yes, you want to be able to step in you want to be able to step in a team and be part of the team, not just the leader of the team. And vice versa. If I had one of my clients go on a well-deserved trip, earn the trip through the company for a week in Virgin Islands with his family. Awesome. Didn't mean he closed the business. So I ran the business for the week and he's just like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? I mean, I've been that's what into my job. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? He's like, yeah. And I was just like, okay, that's just a test. You earned a trip. So you want to build that kind of team that, yeah, if you want to go on a trip or something happens, I have a big family, things happen, change in a literally blink of an eye. So if I have to walk away or step away or whatever, I want my team to be able to feel one, they're quite capable of doing it, and two, know that I trust them to do it. So you're building that trust factor in your team. Like, hey, I know Megan's been through, like all of us have been through things, especially this year. So building that trust in your team is so, so, so important. So as always, time flies when we're having fun. I'm super grateful for everybody that showed up today online and in the room. We want to thank Susan, who is one of the behind the scenes team. She does our covers, she does our show notes. She will put all our links to our LinkedIn profiles in the show notes, and then she turns it into a podcast. So please like, share, and subscribe on both platforms, and reach out. We love getting to know people. We love learning about what people are doing, and and grow. So that's amazing. So my name is Sondra. I'm the owner of Get It Done Coaching, and I help people get things done by helping them with the processes, figuring out who they need to hire, goals, and everything in between. Mr. Peter, can you take us up?
Awesome. So once again, we are all community-based. So if you have questions or things that you want to talk about, our details will be in the show notes. Reach out. Let's have a conversation. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's entrepreneurs getting together to encourage future entrepreneurs. So it's how we survive. So we might as well do it together. That being said, may all your wildest entrepreneurial dreams